putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
I mentioned Donald Trump had a discussion with the Democrats on DACA, and I want to play a little bit of that discussion because I think it's an interesting discussion. We're going to play the entire thing. Then I want to play something else. I want you to get that Obama clip. Obama discussed DACA at the time that it was done, and I want you to hear about that because that's very revealing, and it's also the death knell of the program the way the Democrats want it to go. Because all Trump has to do is say, well, look, here's what the president said at the time. But anyway, I want to start by playing the meeting because I think that meeting was it was such an amazing thing for Trump to put together. We talked about it in the first hour, but now here's the entire clip. We're just getting to it, but I don't want to. I said I was going to play it, and I want to make sure that we do what we said.
Yeah, I would like to do it. Go ahead. I think a lot of people would like to see that, but I think we have to do DACA first.
Mr. President, you need to be clear, though. I think what Senator Feinstein's asking here, when we talk about just DACA, we don't want to be back here 2 years later. You have to have security, as the Secretary would tell you.
But I think that's what she's saying.
I think she's saying something different.
What do you think I'm saying?
I'm thinking you're saying DACA without security. Are you talking about security as well?
Well, I think if we have some meaningful, comprehensive immigration reform, that's really where the security goes. And if we could get the DACA bill, because March is coming and people are losing their status every day.
But let's be honest with you. Security was voted on just a few years ago. And no disrespect, there's people in the room on the other side of the aisle who voted for it. If I recall, Senator Clinton voted for it. So I don't think that's comprehensive. I think that's dealing with DACA at the same time. I think that's really what the president's making. It's kind of like three pillars. DACA, because we're all in the room want to do it. Border security, so we're not back out here, and chain migration. It's just three items, and then everything else that's comprehensive is kind of moved to the side. So I believe when the president talks about DACA and the lottery,
that I think you should add merit. I mean, if you can, add merit-based. No, I don't think. I don't know who's going to argue with merit-based. Who can argue with merit-based? Diane, go ahead.
Do you really think that there can be agreement
We can do it
on
quickly.
all of that quickly
Diane, go ahead.
to get DACA passed in time? I wanted to ask Mr. McCarthy a question. Do you really think there can be agreement on those three difficult subjects you raise in time to get DACA passed and effective? So
yes, because you have heard from Leader McConnell and Speaker Ryan, who said they will put the bill onto the floor if the president agrees to it. And us getting to the room, I haven't seen us be this close and having this discussion in quite a few years of the whole last 4 years. So I think, yes, we can make this happen.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. You got to love it. Had a listener to the program. He's out of Salem, and he says, I listen in Salem, Oregon, the land of liberals, progressives, and weird governors. And he says, I suggest the following. He says, charge $5 for all private vehicles coming into the U.S., $10 for commercial vehicles. Call it a tax. It'll face less hate when it comes up for vote in the House and the Senate. Use the money to assist with the cost of an already approved border wall. Hire more agents, build the base of operations closer to the borders to reduce travel time. Simultaneously announce that there will be a joint Homeland Security, ATF, FBI task force to root out the numerous cartels operating in the U.S. Other illegals are not part of the target, but if located, they will be deported. They already have that type of a policy, by the way. There's a 30-day window for all non-cartel illegals to leave the country and apply for re-entry with no prejudice. Also, all DACA-eligible children are allowed to apply for green cards as part of the program. They must renounce their citizenship to their parents' homeland, and the parents must also agree to being vetted as part of their own separate green card application. If the parents fail the vetting process, whole families deported. Trump to issue a statement that chain migration policy is rescinded immediately. As part of the policy, as long as there's high unemployment with homegrown STEM graduates, announce tighter standards on temporary visas for competitors to unemployed or underemployed citizens. And he says he wanted to recommend a comprehensive solution. Some good points, some points that could be argued. And this is why I say this is the type of legislation where Donald Trump has him by the yin-yang, because it's difficult to say this is the way it should be, because somebody could go, well, should we really do this part of it, or couldn't we nuance this here or there? Should DACA eligible children be able to apply for green cards? Should their parents, should everybody be deported if one of them can't, has got some sketchy stuff? I already said earlier, there should be very strict requirements on DACA. You can't get into any trouble or you're gone. We should be changing the way our culture behaves based on this. You want to be a part of this country? Psst, you can't be committing crime. I mean, what better way to go about that? Anyway, I appreciate. I forget who sent this, so I apologize. You guys didn't give me a name, but I appreciate it. Glad you sent it to me. This is going to be a contentious issue. I think they will come up with something. And as I said earlier, the one good thing about this is, and you notice how Trump added the things that he wanted to be discussed when they went through the different issues that they wanted to. That Dianne Feinstein was talking about. They go, well, first of all, there's DACA, then there's chain migration, and then security, then chain migration. And the guy was like, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is outside. And then Trump goes, no, we got to end the lottery. We have a lottery system that just says, by virtue of somebody drawing in another country, you're going to go get our Somali terrorist. No. And then he says, and what about merit-based? What are you talking about? Who's going to disagree with merit-based? And they were already trying to disagree. Anyway, I want to play the Obama clip. This is where the left gets in the biggest trouble with DACA, is with what Barack Obama himself said when the program went into place. And here's that clip.
Next few months, eligible individuals who do not present a risk to national security or public safety will be able to request temporary relief from deportation proceedings and apply for work authorization. Now, let's be clear. This is not amnesty. This is not immunity. This is not a path to citizenship. It's not a permanent fix. This is a temporary stopgap measure that lets us focus our resources wisely while giving a degree of relief and hope to talented, driven, patriotic young people. It is the right thing to do. Excuse me, sir. It's not time for questions, sir. Not while I'm speaking.
Welcome back. Oh, my gosh. When Obama tries to sound authoritative, it sounds so weak. Is it just me? It's the Kevin Jackson Show, everybody. KJRadio.com. So what did he say? See, because this is where I would come back to the folks on the Democrat side, and I'd say, look, I'm going to tell you right now. In fact, this is what I would go to court on. Can you imagine the judge that stopped Donald Trump from rescinding an illegal executive order, and he says, look, here's everything this man said. It's providing temporary relief. It's not amnesty. It's not immunity. It's not a path to citizenship. I mean, that you could stop right there. Now, what do we know? It certainly isn't a permanent fix. He called it a temporary stopgap, and it would give a degree of hope. Now, he did this in 2012. 2012. So it's gone through 5 years now, with no action. And finally, a president who says, let's take a look at this. You guys have been wanting to talk about it. I'm rescinding it, putting it back into Congress. By the way, that's what's supposed to happen. I keep coming back to the authoritative, the totalitarian, authoritarian that these leftists keep talking about. The guy who's dumb says, we have to follow the law. I remove the executive order. And what does he do? He gives it back to Congress. And then, in his very lopsided way, he brings in a consensus that says, let's have a bipartisan, open discussion, transparent to the public about what we want to do. I'm willing to work with you. You think, folks, this isn't going to backfire on the Democrats? And Trump, here's what's interesting. Trump's not doing it for political ploy. He's doing it because he really wants to work with the Democrats to find a solution, but that solution better be in the best interest of the country. Donald Trump is saying to himself, look, I appreciate these kids. I appreciate their situation. If I were one of them, I would feel for how I got here and what is the unknown if I have to go back to a country I know nothing about. I feel for them. I'm willing to look at that. I'm willing to concede that. But I'm not going to do it at the cost of Americans who paid their dues.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.